Side 2 on WAAF's classic album for Saturday night. It's Derek and the Dominos, we'll get that out straight, and Leila. Hi, I'm John Duncan, and we are doing what I like to call an impromptu radio thing, which is kind of fun to do. How you doing back there, Jim?
I'm doing okay.
Okay, good.
Take it away, John. This is my vacation time.
Well, as I guess a lot of you know by now, Dan Hill and Art Garfunkel did a show this evening at the Worcester Memorial Auditorium, and we were able to drag Dan Hill out here. And let me turn on your mic here. How you doing?
Great. Terrific. It's great to be here. Really.
It's great to have you here. It's really good. This whole night has been so neat in a lot of ways. So we're just going to talk a little bit and play some things from your album.
Sure.
Dan Hill, you are from Canada, right?
That's right, yeah.
Tell us about Canada. Is it a lot different than, say, growing up in the United States? And
I would say it's different insofar as it's a lot smaller, it's a lot younger, it's a lot more naive, it's a lot more introspective. You know, America's had a lot more years, a lot more decades, you know, to develop and find an identity. So I find it's a lot more sure of itself, you know. So it's very this is a great way for me to see this country, you know, is to just work through every city in this crazy country, and it's a real thrill for me, and it's a real opportunity for me to, it's like a great lesson in sociology as well as just doing a tour.
It is a crazy country.
Yeah.
But have you been in the United States very much before this? Or?
Not an awful lot. I've, you know, played in New York, fairly extensively. I've played in L.A., and other than that, I really haven't been. I'm a rookie, you know, like I said before, and that's why I feel like it's like going to camp. You know, I don't know if you ever went to summer camp. When you were a
did
kid,
for a couple of years.
I feel that what I'm doing basically is packing up my lunch, and going to camp in this tape for a couple of months. You know.
That's great. Yeah. You started in Maine just last night?
That's right. Yeah.
Wow. And so this tonight in Worcester was your second appearance?
Night, yeah.
Wow, that's neat. That's neat. How does it feel to perform? Are the audiences different in the United States than they are in Canada?
Well, again, I think, you know, just by reflecting the differences in, you know, the country itself, I think the audiences are a little more aggressive and a little more demonstrative in their response, may that be positive or negative, you know. Since I am basically just an opening act here, you know, I don't expect the same kind of, say, response that I would get in Canada being a headline act.
Right.
So, you know, one has to swallow a certain degree of pride.
What does that, what does that do to you when you know, you're used to doing it, and then you come back and you're an opening act?
Well, it's intriguing for me because 3 years ago in Canada, I had my first hit single, which was a completely different song that's not known here at all.
Right.
And I did a tour with a guy that was really well known in Canada as an opening act. And I feel that what I'm doing right now is going back 3 years. You know, it's an amazing deja vu, but it's great. It's like someone going up to you and saying you can go to high school all over again, except you can try to, you know, make up for all the mistakes you made when you went to high school. It's amazing, you know.
I've always wanted a chance to do it over myself.
Yeah, we all have.
So this is actually your third album. Longer Fuse is your third album. I don't think a lot of people in the United States know that.
Perhaps, you know, maybe 3 people.
I'm the fourth now, right?
Yeah.
But did you expect sometimes when we touched to do what it did here in the States?
It's funny because you learn one thing in the music business very quickly, and that is not to expect anything.
Right.
You know, I had been really closely involved with a lot of songs that I had hoped would do very well that didn't, and so by the time sometimes when we rolled along, I love the song, you know, but you just never know. I thought it had the potential if given the chance, and the key is, of course, if it would get the chance, which obviously it did. You know.
Right. What kind of a moment were you in when you wrote the song? I'm curious, what does it mean, the honesty's too much? It's a very poignant song.
It's like, I guess really, I mean, just those lyrics specifically, you know, touching someone can be such a vulnerable thing, you know. Like,
you open yourself up.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's like, you know, suddenly you just can't hide behind your words anymore, your crazy sense of humor or anything else. I mean, the minute you start touching someone, it's all over.
You're
you. Know?
Yeah.
And I just simply, you know, whenever I used to touch a girl, I would just close my eyes, and they might think I was closing my eyes because I was getting into being sensuous, but I was just terrified, you know what I mean? And I was closing my eyes so they couldn't see that terror, you know? And so I guess in a subtle way that might have influenced, you know, just that line. Sometimes when we touch the honesty's too much.
I think that's why, one of the reasons why it's become so big is because it's a moment that I think a lot of people can understand. A lot of people have gone through that same feeling.
Yeah. I think. Well, I'm glad that you feel that way. I guess you're right. It's a thrill for me to realize. I mean, because it's a funny process, because I guess what happens is people will hear a song perhaps like that on the radio and say, God, I relate to that, and that makes them feel good. But what the amazing thing is that what they might not understand is that the fact that they relate to it gives me comfort, in the same way that maybe them relating to my song gives them comfort. And so it's a very cyclical phenomenon,
Wow. That's good. That's good. It's the human phenomenon, kind of. It's good to know that other people relate to it the same way that you do.
Yeah, it's a real comforting. It's the best word I can think of.
Yeah. Your album is called Longer Fuse, your third one. You picked out a cut from it. I don't even know which one is here.
It's called 14 Today.
Okay, let's do that.
Sure. 14 today, 14 today, and you were dancing.
That is very pretty. Very pretty.
Thanks.
Oh, there's so many things I want to ask you. Dan Hill is here, if you just joined us, WAAF, and we are right in the middle, actually, of the classic album, but we took time out here to do something that means a lot to me, really.
Well, it's nice when it works both ways.
Yeah, that makes it the nicest. Writing songs, I mean, a song that we just heard, a very poignant song. It seems like most of your songs, the ones that I've heard, are very poignant. What kind of feeling, what kind of mood is evoked? What does it take to sit down and actually write a song like that?
I think it comes out of just things that have actually happened to you. Like I feel that what I am really is a human incubator, and things get fed into me all the time.
Right.
And eventually they'll come out in the form of a song. And it's an eerie thing because I feel the creative process controls me rather than the other way around. So I can't go home and say, I'm going to write a hit record today. It's going to be 2 minutes and 58 seconds. It's going to have 3 hooks. I mean, it's like, it kind of goes right through you. It's like seeing a therapist almost. It's such an important part of just my survival. And it's just like one of those remarkable circumstances or coincidences that I also happen to make a living off of, too.
So you really feel like you are an instrument that the song is coming through?
More or less, it's not really I don't mean to make it sound more spiritual or psychic than it is, because I think it's a pretty basically human thing, But I just write as things are fed into me, as I see things happen within me or see them around me, either as an observer or just trying to get out things that I felt inside. I express myself and I feel better because of it.
Well, the way you're talking, it sounds to me like, do you do the lyrics first? Is that the first part of the song that comes out, or does it vary according to...
It varies according to the song. Sometimes I write the lyrics first, but often I get a chord progression which will trigger off something in my head.
A certain feeling.
Yeah. Often I'll have a real good idea of how I want the lyrics to be, and then I'll start working on the music, and they come together at the same time.
Well, we mentioned that you grew up in Canada. What kind of influences affected you, as you were growing up, and what kind of music were you listening to that made you get into the certain feel that you achieved?
Well, there are all kinds of things. I think as important as music, just the circumstances of the social environment, may that be just the impact of the 60s, may it be like Kennedy or George Wallace or, Marshall McLuhan or William F. Buckley or Norman Mailer or Germaine Greer. I mean, I think they were as important to shaping my head in terms of writing as, say, Joni Mitchell or Bob Dylan or obviously the Beatles. I think that they all kind of conglomerated together, and they had some kind of an effect on me as a human being, which thereby affected my writing. But there's no one I could specifically point at and say, aha, Bob Dylan, you know what I mean? Like, it was just so many different things,
Do you relate to yourself in terms of a specific generation? Do you feel that you're part of the 60s, 70s generation that kind of happened, as the rock and roll evolution came along and Dylan and the Beatles and that whole thing happened? Do you relate to that generation, as yourself, or?
It's a tricky thing to kind of pinpoint. I think I kind of came out of the Beatles generation rather than the Dylan generation. I was sort of like post-Dylan. I mean, when Dylan was breaking, I was like 11 or 12 years of
Right,
age, and I
right.
think that was a little young to kind of absorb a lot of what he was writing about. I think I came out of the Beatles era, and I started to really grow up, kind of, or go through my adolescence in the 70s.
What kind of music did you listen to, when you were a kid and you're bopping around on the street and you had the radio up to your ear?
The one music that has to come to mind is the Beatles.
That's
there
neat.
just wasn't anything else that came. Simon and Garfunkel, Joni Mitchell,
Right.
Gordon Lightfoot, since I was a Canadian.
Right.
People like that had a real strong impact on me. But above and beyond everything else, I think when I first got into rock music, it had to be the Beatles, and
Right.
they just made you realize how much fun music could really be.
That's interesting because you mentioned rock music, yet your music is kind of relaxed
Yeah.
and it feels good inside, But do you feel that rock music had a real influence in the music that you perform?
I think
anyway?
it opened me up. Again, it was just one of a lot of things that had. When I was younger, I used to just sit down. I could listen to Fire and Rain 500,000 times. I remember Fire and Rain and Your Song. It came out in the same year, and I think
Right.
that had more of an impact on the future singer-songwriters of this world than perhaps any other two songs.
That's
It
neat.
was
That's
just like,
neat.
I'm sure that paved the way for so many of us that are kind of coming out now.
Really. Why don't we do this? We'll do this. We'll pay some of the light bills here.
Great. Okay.
And then we'll come back and we'll do another song from
Sure,
your album, okay?
Do you want to talk turkey? Subway says our breast is best. It's your kind of place.
Okay, good. Allow me to say at this point that we are FM 107, WAAF Worcester. That makes it all nice and official.
Great.
And Dan Hill is here with us, and I'm just so thrilled that you're here, really. It's a great thing.
It's great to be here. Really, it
That's
feels so
neat.
natural. I feel
That's
like I'm in a
neat.
living room.
Good. You're going to be in our living room, I think, in a little while.
Oh yeah, right.
That's great. Your third album is called Longer Fuse, and you picked out another cut from it that you want to do, so let's do that one.
Great.
What's it called?
It's called Gene.
Well, we were just talking about talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And we are talking to Dan Hill. WAAF, John Duncan here with you. We are in the middle of the classic album for Saturday night, and we're going to get back to that. It's Leila. And we played the subway spot a little earlier because they're the good people that bring that for us. But this is something that means so much to me. I want to ask you, Dan, what kind of things you do, like in your spare time. You're so involved with the music
Right.
industry. There has to be some time when you just say,
Yeah.
whoa, I have to do something else.
Yeah. I find physical activity is terrific just because it takes your mind off everything so totally, and you just get involved with what you're doing. I like going out and running 5 miles,
Far out.
There's a game called squash. I don't know how popular that is in
Okay.
America,
Yeah.
It's just 'cause smashing a ball against 4 walls real hard and being able to swear and get away with it and get angry without worrying about some disc jockey never playing your record again, little things like that, I like doing things like that. Other than that, I like really being quiet, visiting my parents or my brother and sister, just being close to my family or going out with some friends.
As you look back over your life, what were the things that were real important as you grew up that gave you whatever inspiration it was that you found as you grew up? There's certain things that, like, certain moments or certain...
I think the thing that was really important to me was that I was taught at a very early age to be aware, to cultivate that awareness as like the ultimate kind of human, device of beauty that one had.
I'm so glad that you say that. I'm so glad because,
That I think had to be it. That's the thing that really had a profound effect on me.
People say awareness, just awareness of everything, of what is happening, what's going on.
Yeah. That's right.
That's very good. I don't know. I'm plumb, as they say in the South. I came out from the South, so I'll have to say this. I'm plumb out of things to ask you. What's happening next? You're on the road for a while?
Well, I think basically I was, go back to my hotel and get some sleep, and then I'm off to, Oswego, New York tomorrow. And
Great. Where are you going to be playing in New York?
New York State, the college in Oswego.
Great.
And I think basically for the next 2 months I'll be touring with Art Garfunkel, and I'll be doing 4 nights a week with him and 2 to 3 nights a week on my own.
Okay.
And that'll
good.
just be all absorbing. I'm not going to have much time to do anything but just pick myself up and sing every night. And then in May I'll probably go to England, I think. I'd like to go to Europe, and you know my album's doing really well and single out there, so I'll have to do some stuff out there, and I'd like to see Europe. And then in June or July I'll go back in the studio and finish off my 4th album.
Well, with the Europe thing, would that be like a vacation, or you'd be working there too?
I think it'll be kind of work, you know, but it's play for me anyway.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
When I'm on stage I feel like I'm just having a good time. It's hard to think of it in terms of work, really.
That's good.
But I really want to see Europe too. I just have a feeling that I really want to go there. So I'll go there for a duration of time. I'll come back in June, I think. I'd like to finish my album in June.
You've already done 5 tracks from your album, right?
Yeah, I finished 5.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Do you like working in the studio?
I do. It's a completely different world. It's a funny world because you can get anything you want as long as your imagination is great enough, you know. And it's weird because you're used to getting anything you want in the studio, and then you walk out in the real world, and you know, all of a sudden you got to wait in line to go to a restaurant, and you can't take it because you're so totally spoiled by getting anything you want. It's a real culture shock.
Right. Well, that's good. And then you're going to go in June and finish the album.
Yeah, I'd like to finish it in June.
And then I think you said August as a possible date for your new album.
I'd like to get it out in August.
That'd be good. We have somebody. You want to do some phones?
Okay.
Okay. If you'd like to talk to Dan Hill for a moment, and I want to emphasize only a moment, because Dan has to get out here and get some sleep and stuff. But if you'd like to call him up right now, you can do that. The area code is 617, and the phone number is 754-7777. Okay, so if you'd like to talk to Dan, give us a call right now, 617-754-7777. And I believe we have... Is he going to be able to hear this now if I just do that? Okay. So we'll do this, and... we'll say hello.
Hi.
Go ahead. You have a question for Dan? You'd like to talk to him?
Yeah, I'd like to know what he thinks of punk rock.
Well, I'm really not, intimately familiar with punk rock. What I've heard of it, I haven't been completely enamored with, but I think it's just interesting insofar as I think it's a real revelation of what's going on in England right now, and just the fact that they've gone through so much, sociologically, and they're just so fed up that they're just kind of desperately trying to show that they want something done.
Recognition.
Yeah.
And do you think it's like what the future of rock is going to be?
I can't really foresee that. No, I think it's just a brief historic ripple of, one phase of rock,
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, WAAF.
How you doing?
Very good. Dan is here. You want to talk to him?
Yeah, all I wanted to say was I was at the concert tonight. I thought you gave an excellent performance.
Well, thank you very much. It's a thrill for me to... It's an interesting situation because so many people will say, geez, your single's doing great or your album's doing great, and that all is fine and great, but I think what really means something as a performer is to get out there and actually see people, because then it really adds a warmth that all the sales in the world don't give you,
Yeah, and I also was interested in the interview that you were just giving on the radio, and I believe also that awareness is one of the most important things that you could strive for.
I'm glad you believe that too. It's a comfort, to know that.
It's good to find more people that believe that.
Yeah, and it kind of comes out in your songs. It really does.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's very nice. Hi, WAAF.
Yes. This is Ben Sir John.
Hi, Ben. You have a question for Dan?
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Oh. Hey, your music isn't bad at all, really.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Do you aware of Clapton at all?
Am I aware of Clapton?
No, do you know him?
I don't know him, no, but I know of him, of course, and I respect him immensely.
All right, no problem. All right, thanks a lot, though.
Okay.
I just wanted to say hi.
Okay, take care.
Yeah.
Hi, WAAF. Hello, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to talk to Dan?
Can you talk louder?
Yeah, you want to talk to Dan?
Yeah, I'm on the Cape. I can't hear you very good.
Okay, go ahead. He's listening.
Hello?
Hi.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, she did. I don't think she has her radio on. She can't hear you at all.
No, I can't. I'm too far. I'm really far away. I'm on the
Okay,
Cape.
let me hand this over to you, and you can kind of talk into this in the mic at the same time. Okay, I think you'll be able to do that now.
Hello, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Terrific.
I just, this is the first time I ever really got to hear your music. I just want to say, I think it's really good.
Well, I'm really glad you're listening. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
I really like your music. It's got a lot of, feelings in it that really, what the song about being 14 kind of almost made me cry. I thought it was really beautiful.
It's funny, because it's all communication. What I'm trying to do is to move people and to touch them. So when you say that, it makes me feel really good. It makes me feel like I'm doing something worthwhile.
You really are.
Thanks a lot.
I just want to wish you luck on your next album and your tours and everything.
Thank you. Best of luck to you as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye.
That's neat. Okay, hi, WAAF.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I just want to know, I'm really into music now, and what helped you to write down your music, Like, what helped you to put your ideas across on paper?
Well, I think a lot of it is it just kind of comes, I just try to write what I feel, and I find the words sort of come together to a certain degree, and then I have to really sweat over them and make them, clear and concise. But I think the more you do it, the more you let yourself go and don't feel self-conscious about expressing yourself, the faster it'll come out on paper.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
I love your music.
Thanks you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. We'll do one more, okay?
Terrific, okay.
All right, here we go. Hi, WAAF. Go
I'd
ahead.
like to speak to Dan Hill, please.
You're speaking to him. Go ahead.
Okay, Dan.
Yes.
I really like your album. I have it on tape at home, and I'm here at Worcester State College in Worcester, and I didn't get a chance to see you in concert tonight, and I wanted to ask you, what inspired your song, Southern California?
Southern California, I was in Los Angeles last May working on some songs, and I just felt it was so weird, because I felt there was such an emphasis on everyone being perfect, there was such an emphasis on success in L.A., and everyone trying to make it either in music or in the movies. There's a real emphasis on trying to impress, and I just felt it looked like everyone was trying to live forever, and I was just trying to fit in and trying to figure out how it all worked with me, and so that song kind of came out.
Yeah, I really like that song.
I'm really glad you like it.
Yeah, well, that's about all I wanted to ask you.
Okay, take care of yourself.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you very much to everybody that has called. I know there are more people calling right now, but you have to go and get some sleep and hit the road and everything. And I want to thank you, Dan Hill, for being here.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure.
Hey, really, very, very much a pleasure. And I hope you come back
I will be
and
back.
see us again. And
For
good
sure.
luck forever on
Thank
everything
you very
that you
much.
do.
We'll keep in touch.
We will.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Take care.
And now we will go back to the WAAF classic album for a Saturday night. It's Leila by Derek and the Dominos, and this is side 3. I hope you enjoy it. This is John Duncan saying bye-bye. Jim's up next.